Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trip Around Multiverse with your host, the man who has many pointless enemies, which I could kill in an instant, Kyle Charles, and
Uh, and the man who's planted his brain into the body of an albino gorilla, CY Chong.
and hey, in this episode we're going to be talking about depends how we get through it.
Yeah.
The rogue gallery of the Man of Steel, the
Mhm.
Man of Tomorrow,
Yeah.
the last son of Krypton, other monikers I can't remember at this moment. Superman,
The big blue Boy Scout.
yes. The icon of what's that stupid one that they keep saying to do with him being American, but he realistically
I don't know, but I'm sure we can say it's the man with the magnificent mullet, but then we'll think we're talking about Eddie Guerrero, right?
yeah, symbolic. Yes.
Yeah. Yep, the Superman himself. Now,
Yes.
as you rightly pointed out, many of these, he could just, boom, they're done and dusted,
dead.
yeah? And if we were going by it, I dislike it, but you're more different than I am. But if we were using the Man of Steel from Zack Snyder films as our basis, yeah, boom, just snap, 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 done, right?
World of
So these villains will never come back to bother this guy. But
to be fair, some of them he should have just. I get it. He should just killed because they just don't need to be around.
I think it's okay. It's the character of Superman himself, the farm boy from Kansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not brought up in that way, therefore he does not do it. But if he had a slightly different person's personality, then let's just say he had the MCU Captain America. I can get if he was to snap someone's neck, yeah, because he's raised as a soldier, yeah. Not that he would as a symbol of justice or whatever you want to say, right? But it's just like, okay, that mentality is slightly different from Superman. And Superman, most of the time, is just so powerful that he doesn't need to hurt anyone like that. So,
Yeah, but then...
that's why. Sorry, go on.
No, go on. I'll say my bit after this. Go on.
Hence why we get some of these villains who are super powerful and you probably should do something about them and still surviving. And then the minor ones we could just flick across the head, yeah? And they're still just keeping their skull.
Yeah.
But somehow they're still causing them trouble. Whatever.
That's
right?
the kind of like overall problem with the character Superman. It's like, all right, this guy's super powerful and everything, but he has the ability to literally just end all manners.
Yeah,
stuff,
which is why I think some of the evil versions of Superman, Injustice being the main one, aren't quite Superman. Like they're not the proper version of Superman. They're just Superman taken and turned a specific way for a specific reason. Whereas I would like to think if something were to happen to Superman to traumatize him or whatever, right? He'd probably do the Kingdom Come route and just be like, F this, I'm going across over here. Leave all of you people, man. You know?
Yeah, but then that kind of goes against his whole thing as well. I mean, it's like...
yeah.
I like Superman, but like... Actually, this is not just a Superman problem. Like, I like lots of comic book characters, but then there's always this flaw in them, like, oh, they're too good, so they shouldn't do these certain things. But it's like,
I think that there's certain restrictions and rules that, as their public persona is, they have to abide to. But as we know from our boy Charles Xavier, what popular media Charles Xavier and actual comic book Charles Xavier are like. There's a huge difference.
Yeah, huge difference. Technically, I would say one's more realistic and villainous. If you,
well, you know what? Yeah, I gotta say about that one. The comic book version is not a huge amount of good things.
Like this was out. I know this is randomly off topic, but I would say Magneto's more of a hero than Xavier.
Magneto, go on.
Like with Magneto, he has a overall good reason for what the evil he's done, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think that came later in Magneto's lore.
Yeah, but even if you look back, like go back to certain things done, like, okay, he has reasons to do what he saw.
Yeah. No, it's strange with Magneto. It's one of those things where they came up with the background later, but when you retroactively apply it, even though some bits might be inconsistent, it's actually does make a some sense
Yeah.
of a consistent theme.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah.
Xavier, a lot of the things he's done is kind of like just to benefit himself.
Yeah, he flip flops a
Yes.
lot of the time. Whereas Magneto is like, well, it's a straight line of thought that kind of takes peaks and valleys here and there.
Yeah. One consistent thing with him, he's being good, but he's never said like, yeah, no, I forgive all humans. He still doesn't.
Yeah.
Sort of care
All
for
it takes
them,
that one random human. Actually, did you ever read that issue where Magneto was going to? I don't know if he was just gonna be like, look, I'm gonna go about my day as a human, right? Because the next day I'm probably gonna declare war on these people.
Yeah.
And destroy them or whatever. And then he had a conversation with some construction worker and stuff like that. And then I think he was going to turn the leaf.
Yeah.
And then something happened at the end, and he's like, "Nah. My war's coming."
So I'm saying like stuff like that. Like, okay, I see where he's coming from, but obviously Xavier, he's just like, I did something bad. Let me just mind wipe everyone, so no one will know.
Yeah.
Until something undoes that, and everyone's like, "Oh wow, you're a terrible human being." So,
Yeah. Now I know that we basically spent the first 10 minutes not talking about the subject we were going to talk about, but
this happens.
Let's just take ourselves back on track. The thing is, as well, we're probably not going to go through every single Superman villain.
The ones that most people will know about and actually.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just, I guess, if you've read something and you can say something about these things, then we can also have a conversation of that.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you go through a lot, it'll be a very, very
long-winded.
Exactly. Yeah. And not necessary. And if they're just there and he's just like, I'm not saying necessarily pointless, but sometimes and I'm going to go off on another subject, and then we'll come back to this, right? No. But you read Spider-Man during J. Michael Straczynski's run, right?
Bits and pieces of it, yeah.
Okay. And he tried to update some of Spider-Man's Rose Gallery.
Yeah.
There was like there's the Molten Man. There was there was the kid that Peter Parker ended up. Okay, so there was a kid, new kid that got transferred to the school, and Peter Parker, like everyone's telling Peter Parker to bully the kid because Peter Parker's getting bullied. So he bullied the kid a little bit as well to be one of the guys to stop them bullying him.
Yeah.
And then the kid got so bullied that he left the school.
Yeah.
And then Peter Parker became the victim again, right?
Yeah.
But later on, that guy came back because of the retcon. That guy came back, and then he became a villain for a little bit, and then he disappeared. And then there was Dr. Octopus also had another version, but not Caroline Traynor, not Lady Octopus or whatever you want to call her. There was someone else, and I'd like to call him the Squid, but I don't think that's what he was.
Okay.
Yeah, and they never came back again. So, yeah. But yeah, there's probably some Superman villains that just appeared for like a little bit and then just, there's nothing to them. Yeah. So we probably won't go through those. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes. Okay. So should we start with the more common Superman nemesis?
Yeah. Go through them.
Okay. And then we'll probably compare the ones. Okay, actually, you know what? We'll do that, but they also fall into the movie versions as well, which is similar to start, right?
Yeah.
And the movie versions of Superman, generally speaking, the villains it's been Lex Luthor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Through all the Donnerverse, it's been Lex Luthor involved, except for the one time that it wasn't Lex Luthor, but it was a knockoff Lex Luthor.
Yeah, it was Tesco Value Lex Luthor.
Yeah. And then the Superman Returns is also Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Man of Steel and Superman 2, technically, was Zod. Well, it was Zod, but And yeah. So, and this new Superman Legacy, we're going to get Luthor again. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah.
So, why do you think, right, Lex Luthor is the key new Superman nemesis?
Because he is the opposite of Superman, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
but do you think they just... Do you think it's because in media like even in Smallville, Lex Luthor was there, even though you can argue whether he should or shouldn't be there in the DC timeline, but DC's timeline has always changed.
Yeah.
And in Superman Lois, they didn't use Lex Luthor until the third season.
Yeah. So the very
Even in
end.
Supergirl, they didn't use. Well, yeah, I mean, he decided to menace Supergirl, but that's by the third season.
Yeah.
So, and he was only in season 1. Well, he was a main antagonist in season 1 of Lois and Clark. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that, yeah.
And I think he was in Superboy as well. But one of the, I mean, he was in Superboy for quite a bit. But do you think it's because he doesn't have powers? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's easy to put him on screen.
Yeah, I think that's one of it, and like, because he's pretty easy to use. It's just like, I'm rich.
Mad scientist, right? Well, I don't know. I you know what? The purple and green. Why in the movies he did not use his purple and green costume? Now, okay, it might be a bit wacky, right? In Supergirl, it was fine because it worked, right? The purple and green armor, right?
Yeah.
The green, the purple jumpsuit and the green trousers and dungarees. Okay, fine, right? Might be a bit out there, yeah. But at the time, yeah. And probably Gene Hackman wouldn't want to wear those, yeah. It's a bit crazy. But Mad Scientist Lex Luthor, I think, would have worked a bit more better than that criminal mind of the decade or whatever he was, like the real estate agent version, you know?
Yeah.
It was a bit hammy, but at the same time, it was just like, so he's leaving an underground base away from it. He didn't come across as Luthor.
Yeah, because I think live action wise, having that kind of Lex Luthor is a bit too extreme. Like the comic book version of him, like, is too out there. You know what I mean? Like, he's jacked bald dude.
Well, it depends on the time. By the way, this is not going to turn out to be a Lex Luthor spotlight, right? So we have to, so we will have to curtail it at some point and shift on, right?
Yeah.
But because there is a lot to say about this guy. However, you're saying that he's a jack dude, and I think that was during the 90s. Well, actually, Lex Luthor Jr. when he transplanted his own brain into the Australian version of his own son, but it was cloned body, and he had this fabulous mane of red hair. And then he had a beard without the top half of it. The mustache bit. Do you remember that? Yeah. And he was hooking up with Matrix Supergirl, who wasn't actually Kara Zor-El Supergirl. Anyways. And then after that, when he made a deal with Neuron to get his own original body back. And then we have to pretend via retcon that in Death of Superman, that Australian son was actually just Lex Luthor.
I'm glad that this stuff does. I hope this doesn't exist in the continuity anymore, because this is also.
Yeah. And there was the bit where, a bit like, when they shift Magneto's continuity, cloned himself and then made himself younger and all that stuff. And then he used magnetic poles of the Earth to slow his aging. What? Same with Charles Xavier's convoluted history. But, you were saying when he was jacked. And I'm like, that was a version of Luthor, I think, the 90s. Because in the late 80s version, it was the Donald Trump rich dad bod dude version. And that was a good story I read, but it gives you typically how Luthor envisions himself. Went to some diner, Joe was limited to the diner. Have you ever seen Indecent Proposal?
I think I have. I can't remember. Well,
he basically did that.
Okay.
Right? He went to the waitress. He went and got his lady, whatever, to do his chauffeur to go to Mercy, probably, but not Mercy at the time. To go to the waitress and say, "Oh, you know what? I will give you X millions of dollars to spend the night with me. You've got 15 minutes to make a decision." And then the lady's all like, because she's married and stuff, like she's getting all in a little, I don't know what to do. I shouldn't tell my husband, blah blah blah, right? And then as she's making up her mind, I think she's coming out of the cafe. To explain to Luthor her decision, probably because she's going to go get them. The way it was going is that she was going to take the money to help them have a better life later on, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Luthor drove off before the time limit ran out, and then he's like, "Yes, Yeah, and then they're like, because he's done it all the time. His driver's like, oh, you waited a good couple of minutes longer than usual, Mr. Luthor. He's like, yeah, I feel that one had needed a special incentive. And now she'll never know for the rest of her life what kind of decision she would have made and how faithful or loyal she could have been. So like you mentally destroyed the Luthor for what?
Yeah,
for what reason? But then this also one of the good stories of that era was when he made a device to find out Superman's identity. Now, as far as logic is concerned, we don't usually think that the way that DC portray now is that Superman does not have a secret identity because he doesn't wear a mask. The superhero Superman, yeah, the guy in the blue suit and the cape. So you'd never think to search for a secret identity, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever, right? Luthor decides maybe Superman does have a secret identity. Therefore, I shall feed in the computer all this information about Superman, and then it'll spit out who Superman is, secret identity wise. Yeah. And then it was like Superman's Clark Kent, and then Luthor's like, no, your computer is stupid. It doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah. Why would this guy be so who's so powerful pretend to be someone so meek and useless? No, right? It's destroy this computer right now and get it out of my face. And you, woman who created it, you better leave before I when the pyro came up and flamed the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And he was like to the backstage crew, you get that guy out of here before I come back from my match. Yeah. That's what Luthor basically said to the lady.
Lex Luthor.
Yeah. But that makes sense for the portrayal of that character during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also where his hand ended up. He used to wear one glove. Yeah. And they were saying, jokingly, I see people jokingly saying, there's only two people that can pull off the one glove look.
Yeah.
One of them's Lex Luthor and the other one's Michael Jackson. Right?
I don't know.
But Michael Jackson had vertigo, so he's getting the white skin patches on his skin.
Yeah.
And that's why he wore the jeweled glove.
Yeah.
But Lex Luthor was wearing a kryptonite ring. So he could. So Superman didn't go dare go near him. The problem is kryptonite poisoning. So he ended up hand cut off and put a cyborg hand on it, and then he wore a black glove on top of that.
And then retcon it. I mean, not retcon, but then he's died and cloned himself, and then now he has normal. Yeah.
I would say it's one of the long-standing Superman villains for a particular reason, but I also think when we were introduced, I say we, but I have to actually ask you. When I was introduced to Luthor, it was more like the evil businessman version. Didn't know about the mad scientist version until later.
I can't actually. To be fair, I can't actually remember what I first knew him as.
Yeah.
Because earliest memory of mine, I keep just thinking of when he was like. Wait, because I didn't really read Superman stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So my first remembering him is literally ginger beard Australian one. Even though I knew him from before that, but that's the earliest memory I've think of in my head.
Yeah, because we were both reading the Death of Superman probably during that time, right?
Yeah.
And then in popular media, Luthor was bald, and it's like, wait a minute, but this guy's got long hair. I have to say, fast forwarding. I do like the current version of Luthor, which is he's narcissistic, egotistical, and he just he's just in denial of certain things.
Yeah.
And he always wants to be number one, and he gets in his own way.
Yeah.
It makes sense because he's like Vegeta.
Yeah.
He can do stuff. There's ego and bluster, and he just be like, look, I'm blinded a little bit by who I think I want to be rather than who I am.
Yeah.
And then they turn him, like, depending on how they want to tween him, he's either goes a bit too far, causing people to get murdered and stuff like that, but and then does enough good stuff to get back in the good graces, and he's a villain with good what's it called? That thing, publicity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like it as well when he basically made his Iron Man suit with yeah. But during the time, I think during the mid-90s or stuff like when we were reading it, he never had all that stuff until late. Like he did have some of that stuff before, but I think they kind of stopped him having it for a good chunk of time.
Yeah,
and then he had that stuff back on. Yeah. That purple and green suit. I don't know why he decided to do that. By the way, right? Them colors. But yeah, that I think gives him a bit more oomph as a threat rather than I'm just going to hide in the shadow. Not hide in the shadows. I'm just going to be like, do all my missions from behind all the time and basically be a Batman villain.
Right, my only thing as well, I'll say my last bit's about Luthor.
Yeah.
Is like, I feel like creatively, they've run out of ideas to do with him.
Yeah.
Because they like the last 10 years, he's been a good guy, bad guy. Then he's done like recently, what was it when he became like the master of evil, something like that. And so he started the year of villains, like stuff, which came out of nowhere. I never understood how they rectified him. Remember when he, in the beginning of Rebirth, when he was basically Superman.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he was part of Justice League and all that. And then next thing I know, he was getting the villains to help him become the super all evil.
Yeah.
And I don't know how did he go from that to that?
Yeah. The thing is, I think it's probably the problem is with when you have multiple writers on multiple things, and sometimes people want to go one way because that's their interpretation of the character, and you have some people like thinking, we could try a different direction to do other things, and then suddenly you just get this jump to reset to the version that they want it.
Yeah.
And like you say you don't know how, but it could have just literally been that. You know, like how Bane is all really good sometimes, yeah. And there's sometimes he's like just dumb muscle one venom, whatever. Yeah.
Because like
go on. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, but I was gonna go into a Bane thing, but no, already.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, for example, now with Bane, you can't. What have they done with him in Batman?
Yeah. You
can't go back now to him being his previous versions. You know what I mean? Because he literally like took over Gotham and he.
Yeah. You know when you say his previous version, you mean like because his first version was actually that as well, like smart and cunning and stuff like that.
But like you can't really make him like a side villain now. He has to.
No, well you shouldn't. People can. People have done these things to characters.
Yeah.
But yes,
But
So let's put a pin on that for Luthor at the moment.
Yep.
And before we go into the rest of Superman's Rogues Gallery, let me ask you.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, right? Would you say best comics Rogues Gallery is a tie between Batman and Spider-Man?
Yes.
And then you have the Flash somewhere after that, yeah?
Yeah.
And then where would you have Superman's Rogues Gallery? Would you like? I wouldn't say he has the greatest, but he has a good variety. However, there's not a lot. I would say they fluctuate. The power levels are either super up there, or no power levels. You know.
Yeah. I want to say that they're mediocre, but they're not. They're meh.
Fair enough. I'd say for a character that has been around for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Wonder Woman is a character that I think does not really have a lot of opposition. You know, I mean, Superman has characters that he that we know of, right? But if I said to you, name me name me 5 Wonder Woman villains, could you even do that?
Cheetor.
Yep.
Dr. Poison is her name.
Oh yeah, okay, from the movie, yep.
Maxwell Lord, technically.
Well, I mean, I
was in the last like 15 years, yeah. You know.
Oh yeah, well, I was gonna say that's a more dodgy one because he was Well, I wouldn't say that specifically was.
Yeah, same, but I think he's kind of like migrated to being one of her villains.
Yeah.
And who did I say? I want to say live.
I'll tag you in and I'll tag in and help you because it's the other two I know. Dr. Mind, I believe it is, right?
Yes.
The Dr. Psycho? Dr. Psycho is
Yeah,
it?
Dr. Psycho. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And Ares, but technically Ares is kind of the god of war, so he could be, yeah. Other than that,
Yeah. Other than that, I don't really.
But back to back to Superman. Back to Superman, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So, in Superman 3, they should have used Brainiac, I reckon. They will create that supercomputer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it could have created artificial intelligence, and then tried to take over one of the people's bodies, one of the whoever it is, like the sister that that was taken over in the end. But you could have just done a Brainiac. I know CG and stuff like that, and it would have been a bit too much.
Yeah.
But you just do like a computer program that takes over a human. Then you could, that's Brainiac done, dusted. Which technically, I believe that did kind of happen with Brainiac.
Yeah. Well, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much do you know about Brainiac?
He was a rogue Kryptonian. No, he was a Kryptonian AI. That came sentient, and then was like, "Hey, I'm gonna fulfill my promise and take away and like document everything and then kill it." So then,
document everything and kill it. All right.
Yeah. So then it's documented and
yeah.
And
Dr. Milton Fine, right?
Who's that?
Dr. Milton Fine, I believe. Okay, so Brainiac took over the body of someone, and there was some dude called Milton Fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, the pink. I don't know. Okay, some wacky clothing choices in the 50s, 60s, or whatever you want to say these characters were. But to be fair, bright colors and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Brainiac wearing a pink shirt. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think the last in 2005 or something like that, when Jeff Johns started writing Superman.
Yeah.
Turns out all the Brainiacs that were in Superman history before that Superman had encountered weren't Brainiac. They were Brainiac probes.
Okay.
That believed
they were Brainiac.
Yes, and then finally Brainiac made his appearance because it is too. Right, I think it's because he got beat up enough times or whatever Superman outsmarted him or however you want to do it, right? And it's just like, well, no, let's make Brainiac a threat. Let's give him a bit more of a different history and whatnot. So, not saying none of that stuff didn't happen. It did happen, but it didn't happen. But this version of Brainiac is the actual version of Brainiac. Just like I don't know if you read it back in the day, when Wolverine was getting beat up by Sabretooth, and then he was beating up Sabretooth back.
Yeah.
And all those Sabretooths that he did beat up were going to be clones of the real Sabretooth by Mr. Sinister, right?
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
And so they could bring the real Sabretooth there and be like, yeah, this version of Sabretooth is the number one, is the old...
This is Prime Sabretooth, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, wow, when you have to do a retcon like that...
Well, I don't... Okay.
A bit like all the Doombots, yeah?
Yeah, but Doombots... kind of makes... Oh, no, it doesn't make sense.
And the Vanos clones, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah. Even with Thanos, you don't really just say, like, yeah, this one was a clone. Like, dude somehow cheated death. Just
Yeah.
Easy.
Brainiac, I will say, I kind of get it, because the universe is massive. So you could say Brainiac Prime was elsewhere, yeah?
Yeah.
Whilst probing around the world, that the universe that's so massive, and then eventually he got to the particular point where his Brainiac probe was, and he downloaded the information from that, and then okay, fine, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, any comments on Brainiac?
He's another one in the comics. He just, I sometimes feel like he's overused.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
To be fair, there is like Superman's been around for since what 1939.
No, yeah.
So yeah, it's not like, for example, how overexposed the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn Green Goblin is, even though he died for a period of time and then came back. I'm like, and people are just memeing on him saying, "Oh, Peter, it was I that moved the table over there in your Parker household. So when you were a kid and you stubbed against it, you stubbed your toe against it. It was me." Ha ha ha. You know, it's like, shut up, man, Norman.
He's like, the Flash version. He's like Superman's version of like Reverse Flash, where like actually that's
Brainiac.
Not even Brainiac. That's more like Lex Luthor. It's like it was something always comes back round to the Reverse Flash. Like, oh, okay,
yeah.
Original.
Would you like to see a live version adaptation of Brainiac at some point? Now with the computer technology they have, or would you be like, it's probably going to end up being close to Ultron, and people are going to think that?
Nah, because him and Ultron's kind of different.
Yeah.
Like Ultron was a robot.
Yeah,
they're both robots. Ultron hates everything.
No. But you can argue Ultron is a robot, while Brainiac is a cybernetic.
To be fair, they're both AIs that became sentient, so that's any sort of.
Yeah, and I did like, by the way, how when Grant Morrison did the Superman Rebirth, and Brainiac basically was, I'm called many when he came to Earth, and I'm called many things on many different planets. I'm called this on that planet. I'm called that on this planet. I'm blah 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 blah. Right. And then he goes, on Earth, they call me the Internet. I'm like, oh, actually, yeah.
Well, that's
yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, you didn't like it, or did you?
I don't know. I feel a bit like, oh, okay, you're trying to be too meta at this point. All right, sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, but if you're gathering it, if you're an AI create that's created intelligence, if you're gonna say the Internet and AI is reverse engineered from Brainiac, who came to visit Earth at one point or whatever. Or probes or something. Okay.
How long has Brainiac been alive though? That's the thing. Because if we're going by like, okay, Superman's 30 or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
And Krypton blew up 30 years ago.
Yeah. It's true.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a bit.
Oh yeah, with the sliding timeline, you know what I mean. You can't. Sometimes, some things are just kind of be like. Yeah. Some things can, like your boys, the X-Men, right?
Yeah.
That some of that stuff that happened in the past cannot happen now.
Yeah.
You know?
No. Oh God, no.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was reading Superman 78, and Brainiac was a villain in that.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But he just came to do the bottle City of Candles sort of thing, and he actually teleported Lara and Jor-El. Yeah. He basically closed that section of the planet before it exploded. And then it wasn't knock down, drag out fight. It was probably if they were to make a movie version with Brainiac in it, that's what would happen. Superman just got put down in the bottle city, met his parents, and Lex Luthor's like, Superman, mind over matter,
Yeah.
Brainiac is gonna try and shrink the Earth down to stuff as well. So I'm gonna give you help, and we'll get rid of Brainiac together. That sort of thing.
Brainiac,
yeah. Do you think there'll be a live adaptation of Brainiac at any time soon? Do you think like Superman Lois might use him for the last season, or do you think
It might do, but for some reason I have a feeling that Brainiac might appear in Superman Legacy.
Oh yeah, this is what, by the way, this is one of these coincidences that I'm gonna point out to you that for some reason has never been used, and I've read it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So Lex Luthor's battlesuit is green and purple, yeah.
Yep.
Or green, and Brainiac is green and purple.
Yep.
And pink, if you want to put it that way, right?
Yeah.
So you could start off a Superman story that as Brainiac is the villain, but obviously Lex Luthor, because he always had to get the hot tag, right? He always had to be the villain. He had to be the supreme villain in the end, yeah. As far Yeah. So what he could do is he's working with Brainiac, quote unquote, double crosses Brainiac,
Yeah.
and then cannibalizes Brainiac to use as a mech suit or whatever he wants to do to fight Superman because he has to go and kill Superman himself. Like, okay, I suppose one could like that bit as far as turning Brainiac into your own cybernetic suit could work. Yeah.
A bit too messy though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It may well be. It depends obviously how it's written and stuff like that.
Maybe that happens in a sequel, then I can kind of get that, but because like my favorite version of Brainiac, if we move on, whatever, is him in the Justice League cartoon. That was my favorite because they did lots of like forward planning and like laid the seeds. Because basically, he's in the Superman cartoon, all this stuff happens. There's one throwaway episode where Luthor finds Brainiac. He tries to bring back online.
Yeah.
And when he comes online, Brainiac goes kind of haywire and shoots him a beam. And Luthor's wondering all the time, why didn't a beam from close range kill me?
Yeah.
So carry on. The story carries on for years, whatever. And then earlier, Lex Luthor was diagnosed with like cancer in it.
Okay.
And then he gets a checkup one day and they go, oh yeah, your cancer's gone. He's like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, we don't know why it's gone. He's like, okay, cool. And then he starts hearing voices in his head. He's like,
oh yeah. Like Randy Orton.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't know. And he starts building things that he shouldn't be able to build.
Oh. Yeah.
And then he starts getting stronger stuff. He's like, I don't know why this is happening. And then eventually, Brainiac. He's about to get beaten by Justice League or that. Then Brainiac starts like transforming his body, and he's very confused. Like, wait, what's going on? And then you find out that beam that Brainiac hit him with had Brainiac's, I'm gonna say DNA, but whatever. And that was slowly rewriting Lex Luthor's DNA so he could become Brainiac. And he's like, oh, okay. And then they sort of make a truce. So then Lex Luthor becomes Brainy Lex Luthoriac. Like them two fused together. That's the best way of putting it. Yeah. Then they try to take over the Earth.
Yeah.
And then the Justice League beat him. The Flash basically use the Speed Force to vibrate Brainiac's molecules out of Luthor.
Okay.
And then the next season after that, because Luthor became a god in his eyes, he spends the next 2 seasons of Justice League Unlimited trying to get Brainiac back. And that leads to another thing, but
so when they got separated, is he like, no, Brainiac, I need you back?
Yeah, basically, So he spends, and then he keeps hearing voices in his head again, thinking it's Brainiac, but then it leads to a plot twist at the end. But chance to watch it.
Yeah. All right. What is it? Is there an actual story arc that's called something, or you're saying I have to watch the entire lot of the season?
No, you don't have to watch the entire arc because they kind of like explain it into a certain bit anyway. So you don't.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah. How would you say Brainiac ranks as a more top tier Superman? Okay, even though Luthor has no powers, and so we're going to say he's mad scientist, tech suit, mech, whatever, right?
Yeah.
He's got a decent ranking in Superman's villain just because of pure gumption, I will say.
Gumption.
Or like usage, They've been there a lot, and I think they tweak his character enough to update him for whatever era he's in. So but would you say he's only up there because he's been used that much?
Don't feel like he's easy. Probably the writers find him pretty easy to use, and he's like,
what, Lex Luthor? Yeah. Okay, where would you say Brainiac ranks? Top tier or like mid, or would you say as far as you're concerned, because obviously you don't speak for everyone, but like how I'm gonna say, right? Everyone, some people think that Norman Osborn is Spider-Man's #1 villain. I'm like, the dude does a lot of stuff, and he always ends up losing, no matter what craziness he gets going on, and whether he's at an advantage or not.
Yeah.
So I can't say that. I would think that he's one of Spider-Man's top tier villains, even though it kind of is. I wouldn't rank him as. Same with Venom as well.
Yeah.
Because Venom, you like, Spider-Man started to become afraid of Venom, all that stuff, and he's like, yeah, but you make Venom look good at the expense of Spider-Man. So I don't think Venom is kind of cool, but if he was going to make Spider-Man look like a dope, then I can't say that it makes me think that Venom is top tier either. You know. But what would you say? Yeah, Brainiac falls in line for you.
About fifth.
Actually,
no, fourth. Wait.
Well, no. To be fair, they love Superman villains. So that's why I said high, mid, or low tier. As far as that.
I'll put him in a high tier, but
yeah. Not upper high or mid high or
mid high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. General Zod.
Yes.
What? Okay. How do you think of? What do you think of General Zod? And you can use the movie versions or whatever you want. However you want to make your decision based on those.
My favorite interpretation of Zod is the movie version.
Which one?
Man of Steel.
Okay.
The Superman 2 version is too hilarious for me. I can't take that serious.
Okay. The attitude of General Zod there, I can get, right? You know, the way he holds himself and stuff like that. The Man of Steel version, where I'm created for war, but I'm gonna get beat up by scientists. That was like, and I will find him. I will ham it up and find him, right? Yeah. But I get some aspects for it. Even when in the Flash, it's like, I'm here to revive Krypton, and I tried to take the life force of the infant, and he ended up killing him. That's kind of like, it's a mark on my soul, but I had to try and do what's best for my people. Fair enough. But there's some bits and pieces that I don't fall in line with in the Man of Steel version. Some bits I do like, some bits I don't. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the current comic version of Zod is a good version of Zod. If he's not the reverse xenophobic that Lex Luthor is.
Yeah, I'll say that's true.
Like, Luthor hates all aliens, but not really, because he hates Superman and Superman's an alien. Therefore, he has to justify it himself. Okay. This is going to be random, right? This is going to be random, but it does fall in line with Lex Luthor, yeah? Okay. So, I don't know if you've ever seen the meme of Ice-T talking to some dude on Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've actually seen the episode of what are we talking about? Yeah.
I have not seen the episode, so I see it out of context, and it's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But the line is, the guy says, the black dude, right? He says, because the episode's about, if you're black and you're homosexual, sometimes they try to hide it because they get looked down further upon or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And the line is, I'm not gay. I have relationships with women and have sex with men.
He goes, that makes you gay, dude.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying, it's similar logic to Luthor. I don't hate all aliens. I just hate that alien. But then to justify my hate for that particular alien, I have to hate all aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though he's worked with many aliens, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He only really hates one guy.
Yeah, just say I hate Superman,
Yeah. Just But then, I say Zod is kind of like that, but not.
Yeah.
Where he's like, look, I'm just doing what's best for Krypton, and everyone else who's not a Kryptonian, therefore,
I don't care.
Yeah. All the other people.
Yeah.
I don't hate them. I'm just gonna,
Yeah, this is not my radar.
Yeah. I mean, if they die, like Ivan Drago says, if they die, they die.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Zod, does that make you a racist because you only care about your race and you don't care about what you do to other races? How To be fair, he's brought up with his military background and stuff like that. So they probably be like, the enemy's the enemy, and that is that, full stop.
Yeah, doesn't matter what they are. They could be Kryptonians. If they're not enemy, they're enemy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's true. It's true. No, it's not. But I think of that logic as, if these Kryptonians that happen to be on the opposition side, They are my enemy.
Yeah. Then it was like, oh, because you're Kryptonian, I'll let you off. No, I still murder you. That's all right.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah,
man,
but he
yeah.
disguises that as well. Just like Lex Luthor says, I'm doing it for the betterment of humanity because you got this guy there, which we can never be, right? But I myself can be your symbol, and you could be like me if you become better, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's all about ego, yeah.
Yeah.
Same with General Zod. It's just like, look, I'm protecting Krypton at all costs. Even all you other Kryptonians get in my way, I'll take you down. And then that's what happens with the Sentinels in Days of Future Past, right?
Yeah, like, let's kill them too.
Yeah. Even the people that can potentially have grandchildren that are turned mutants, you're going to mutant concentration camp. Like, what?
Like, okay.
Yeah. But yes, General Zod himself. What do you so you prefer that live action version than the comics version? And
the comic version, like you said, the most recent one I kind of like, but then I don't like sometimes the artistic choices they use with General Zod.
Okay, go on.
Because like in Rebirth Suicide Squad, the new Suicide Squad, there was a few issues where Zod was in it.
Yeah.
And for some reason, he was like 12 feet tall.
Okay. Yeah.
It's something I'm like, that doesn't make any logical sense to me.
There was, I don't know if you ever read it, but there was a Superman story called For Tomorrow. And Jim Lee drew it.
Yeah.
And Zod looked like an old scientist guy.
Okay.
In a big suit kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the Z was a reverse S, which made sense.
Yeah.
But I think I prefer the Zod symbol that is on the costume now. You know, it's like a hexagon sort of shape. Yeah. Rather than the Man of Steel version, which has got that funny kind of, I don't know, upside down sickle.
I'm trying to remember that.
Yeah, because not all Kryptonian symbols have to be that similar. Like, yeah. So, do you like General Zod himself or General Zod with his minions is better? And his minions either being Ursa / Fayora,
yep,
and Non. Yeah.
I tend to forget about them, not on purpose.
Yeah.
Actually, Fayora. Wait, that's the one they use now, right? Fayora.
Yeah.
I like her.
She was the original version, and then in the movie they used Ursa.
Yeah, and then
so I think they used Ursa for a good period of time. I think before Rebirth, and then they changed it back to Fayora.
Yeah,
there is a good story where Richard Donner wrote with Jeff Johns a Superman story with Chris Kent.
Yeah. Because that's their child.
Yeah, exactly. Their child from the Phantom Zone. Somehow you can born a child in the Phantom Zone who not a Phantom, and therefore helps them break out of it, whatever, right? Yeah. But they tweaked Non's backstory to be he's not a dumb mute like he was in Superman 2.
Yeah. He
was a scientist, somehow a super bulky scientist, right? You know how it is, right?
Like the Rocky and Rampage and stuff like that.
Yeah. Right? And then the Kryptonian, because Zod, like, look, he was the one that he and Jor-El found that the Krypton was going to get destroyed, and he's like, we should tell the people. Let me tell my mate General Zod, yeah?
Yeah.
So Zod started the uprising. Zod started the uprising, and then the Kryptonians council kidnapped Non and just cut out his brain. Cut out sections of his brain, and then they found him wandering the desert eating like animals and stuff like that. Still being bulky for some reason, you know?
Yeah.
And then when he escaped the Phantom Zone, he was even bulkier. And it's like, well, okay, all right, you know? But that gives him backstory. That gives him meat. Yeah. And why General Zod would then beef with the whatever they were doing in Superman 2. But it also feeds into the backstory, I think, of why Zod would oppose the council of Krypton, rather than, I want to take over the planet, and therefore you still listen to me or whatever.
Yeah. That's why, like I said, that's why I kind of like the Man of Steel version, because he didn't want to take over Krypton over. He
wanted to save them with extremes,
Yeah.
The people of Krypton are the true heroes.
Yeah, they really are. That's what they really are.
Yeah. But did you ever watch that DC animated film Injustice Gods Among Us? No, Not Injustice Gods Among Us. The other one. I think it's just called Gods Among Us.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. I know what you're talking about. I think it's called Gods and Demons. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Gods and Monsters.
Yeah,
Gods and Monsters.
Yeah, that's it. No, I haven't. You know what? I have it, but I've never actually watched it.
All right, let me give you a quick backstory because they tweaked the Trinity there.
Yeah, because Batman's like a vampire, right?
Wait, no, that's Kurt Landstrom.
Oh yeah, well,
That's the Man Bat. No, but he the Batman is basically the Man Bat in that. So so Kurt Landstrom is the Batman of that universe.
Yeah.
Even though he's the Man Bat, he's the vampire Batman, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Artemis is Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And General Zod is Superman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So in that it's a bit more of a, I want to say, a crueler Justice League, but well, Zod, like, okay, I'm the protector of the planet. Things are going to be very straightforward, Yeah. First of all, he's a grown ass man doing that job, yeah. But secondly, he's got his way of thinking is completely different.
Yeah.
So it was like a cool interpretation of Zod, where it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna Vegeta all this. we ain't dealing with Goku here. Superman's Goku. I'm Vegeta. Let's just go Vegeta style.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, but he was like, I'm looking after the planet. I'm not taking over. I'm working with the people, but essentially, this is my planet to protect. And if anyone comes to fisticuffs, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, which is understandable. Yeah.
Okay, Darkseid.
Yay! My favorite Superman villain. To me, he is Superman's. The
number one.
Number one.
I tell you what, I'm glad, by the way, is that they've moved him from the Superman Rogues Gallery to a Justice League Rogues Gallery since Rebirth, because I always thought of him as a planet-wide, universe-wide threat.
Yeah, universal threat. He's like Thanos, basically. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Thanos is basically
but he always, for some reason, Superman was always facing him off, and in the episode of Justice League Unlimited, I think, where Superman went to Apocalypse, right? Superman went to Apocalypse. He was on Apocalypse for some reason, right?
Yeah.
The way initially was going to take it, Superman went to Apocalypse and beat up Darkseid. No, because that makes Superman sound like a bully. That was not. Superman was on Apocalypse for some reason, yeah.
Yeah.
And he had the fight with Darkseid because he was like, those people shouldn't be your slaves, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Darkseid's like, well, if you got something to say it to my face, yeah.
Yeah.
And so Superman says it with his fists. Beats up Darkseid. Well, they have a fight, right? Darkseid gets beat up in this particular episode.
Yeah.
And then all the people, he's like, Superman's like, people, you're free. You can do what you want. And then the people run over to Darkseid to help him up. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
What? I don't understand. And Darkseid's like, that's your problem, Kryptonian. You don't understand. I am their lord and master, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, I'm their god. And he's like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even if they see me falling, right, they know. And it's just like, oh, okay, I get it. But the more times you get beat up by Superman, the less you're gonna look like this,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you always enjoyed Darkseid's presence.
Yeah, like Darkseid is like one of my favorite villains in general. Like,
okay, first of all, is it because he wears a miniskirt?
No.
No, I will say, by the way, I know I've just called it a miniskirt, but really, him and Doctor Doom wear tunics. Yeah, I will say that, right?
Yeah.
They're not miniskirts.
No.
But yes, sorry, I was interrupting you to make a crappy joke.
That's alright. No, like, I don't know. It's something just how he presents himself. Because I remember seeing Darkseid for the first time in like DC Super Friends all those years ago, and didn't get it. I mean, I just didn't understand it. And it went till I saw Darkseid in the Superman animated series.
Yeah,
and just how he presented himself and like the stuff he did. I was like, oh man, this guy is dope.
Yeah.
I just love the way he just like.
Was it the voice?
Yeah, the voice, Michael Ironside's voice. I was like, this is amazing, and like. the petty things he does.
And it's not. By the way, it's not like Lex Luthor's petty, but he's a human, right?
Yeah.
Like, why do you need to concern? If you're Darkseid, then basically you're the god of your own planet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick dirt in their face just because I can.
Like the things he does, like in this, he had beef with Superman. This is earlier in Superman animated series, and then Superman beat him. And when he was leaving Earth, Darkseid, to be how like all the Earth was like, yeah, Superman, you beat him, and then you know the character Dan Turpin, right?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, go back to your scummy planet, whatever. Yeah. And to be so petty, he did an Omega beam and killed him. No one else, just him, and left. And I was like, wow, that is beyond petty. Like,
why not? But
yeah. And then, so he held a grudge for Superman for those times. And then at the like season end of like the season finale of all of like animated Superman before it went into Justice League and all that stuff, he kidnapped Superman, brainwashed him to make him believe Superman was his son.
Yeah.
And made him invade Earth.
Yeah.
So then Earth hated Superman for a while because of this. Because Superman came back to Earth, tried to like invade it for his father Darkseid. Nearly killed Supergirl.
Yeah.
And then somehow, I can't remember what happened. That was it. Earth hit him with like a nuke or something like that.
Yeah.
So when that nearly killed Supergirl, Superman survived. And that's when he came out, the brainwashing was like, oh my god, you made me become a cousin. I hate you, Darkseid. And then this leads to what you were saying, that he went to Apocalypse, beat the crap out of Darkseid. Proper. And then came back to Earth, and Darkseid's plan was to make Earth hate Superman. So for years, the Earth and Superman were on like rocky terms, hence why Cadmus was made, just in case Superman went evil again. They ended up cloning Supergirl, all this stuff. Like, again, this will go through the thing. Yeah. And then Darkseid again, after this, faked his planet being invaded by Brainiac, so they could capture Superman and kill him.
Okay.
And it's just all this petty stuff he does. Yeah. And then he dies. Again. Yeah. Well, he actually dies this time. He gets exploded by something. And then it leads to other things, which, again, you need to watch like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited so you can get the awesomeness of what happens.
So, you know what? I basically will find clips on YouTube of petty. I want to type in petty Darkseid to see what pops up later on. But right, have you read the Elseworld story, Superman Darkseid?
No.
This is where the Kryptonian rocket that was taking Superman as a baby lands on Apocalypse.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Superman works for Darkseid.
Okay.
Yeah, Superman's one of Darkseid's sons or whatever, right? I can't remember. I haven't read it for years. I read it. I remember reading it in the library or something like that. So I can't remember how that ends up, and I don't want to give false information, right? Yeah. But I'm sure he turns good because he's Superman in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to tell me. I'm going to say something. You have to tell me when it falls in place, and probably it's going to be the first Superman Darkseid encounter in the Justice League animated series. But the what they call the World of Cardboard speech.
Yeah. They've one of the best episodes. Yeah. The episode's called Destroyer. Yeah.
So Darkseid comes to take over Earth, whatever he's going to go on. He's beating up Superman. Superman's just taking him punches. And then I think Batman helps him, and Darkseid just bitch slaps him away.
Yeah.
And then Superman's like, he's just like, all right, well, it's time to go, boy. If you want to go, let's go. And he's like, just throwing haymakers at Darkseid, saying, you know what, Darkseid?
Yeah.
In this world,
yeah.
I have to be careful about everything I do. It is like if I was touching cardboard. But you, big boy, you could take this. You could take everything I could throw at you. So go on. Something like, I haven't been able to unleash my full power at all. But you take this, and he just punches him from the ground, right? It creates a crater. and Darkseid's body is flipping in the sky,
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z style, through like 2 skyscrapers, and then Superman super speeds to the other side of Darkseid where he's still flipping around in midair, and double axe headers them down into the ground.
Yeah. I'll read the whole speech.
Oh, go on.
Okay, so Batman just basically dodged a Omega Beam and all that stuff, and then he gets hit by Darkseid, and then Superman comes along, punches Darkseid, and he goes, "That man won't quit as long as he still have breath. None of my teammates will, but me, I have a different problem." Then he punches Darkseid. He goes, "I feel like I live in a world made of cardboard, always taking constant care not to break something, to break someone, but, sorry, full stop, never allow myself to lose control, not even for a moment, or someone could die, but you can take it, can't you, big man? So what we have here is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose and show you just how powerful I really am." And then he just gives him the most epic punch ever, because he hit him, and then you see like the shockwaves.
Yeah.
And then he just goes boom, flying.
Yeah.
It's God, just think about it gives me like goosebumps. Oh.
But the thing is, that's part of the problem I had with Darkseid during this time, is that the threat of Darkseid comes across way more than the actual execution of the character when he's doing stuff. Because as a villain, he can't win. But how you going to maintain your aura? You know?
Yeah.
Which is why I like the Rebirth version of Darkseid, even though he's like 2,000 foot. No, he's not really 2,000 foot.
Yeah.
I would say the Rebirth. So Superman's 6'4".
Yeah.
I would say pre-Rebirth Darkseid is about 8 foot.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
He wasn't. No. It probably Omar's height, right?
Okay.
Like 7 foot something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But new 52 version of Darkseid is like 10 foot.
I don't know. He seems bigger. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe he is. Right. But I like how they did the new 52 version of him, because they basically say he needs a reset. He needs a reset to keep in line with how of a threat that he's meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about the Snyderverse version? I know we didn't see much, but would you think, okay, he could have been
I was
something?
looking forward to seeing the Snyderverse version of him, but you know.
Well, the thing is, right, he looked more similar to how he was displayed in the comics. Not the new 52 update version, by the way. He looked a bit more cold, the classic version of Darkseid.
Yeah, which I was looking forward to seeing.
But it's considering the look of metallic Steppenwolf, I don't know. But yeah,
which Steppenwolf did you prefer? If I can.
Oh, I think we had this conversation before, but I was like, now the Steppenwolf, the Joss Whedon version of Steppenwolf, the dude in the armor, he didn't look too much of a threat. However, the spiky metal version also seemed a bit too extreme for me, right? He looked a bit like the Destroyer from 4.
Yeah.
I would say I think that the version that would have made more sense to me is the one that was used in the Rebirth F2 version.
Rebirth F2, I remember.
It was a dude in the armor, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he seemed had a bit more of a, yeah. But I can't say too much for Steppenwolf, because I have to say, I'm not. He's, I don't know, as a character. I'd say the design choices in the movies weren't the greatest. Let them put it that way.
I'm looking at. All right, they both. I kind of like both, but I don't at the same time.
Okay. You mean like a hybrid version? If the metallic strips and stuff like that were armored,
yeah,
rather than look like it was part of his skin, yeah.
It's like
and it's too spiky. It's too spiky.
It's like a weird, like, Bay Transformer reject.
Yeah.
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 I Oh, he got his head cut off anyway. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I did like as well how they did Darkseid in what was the Justice League animated version called? Justice League War, was it?
Yes, Justice League War, yeah.
Yeah, where he basically
DC
came in and beat the entire Justice League. It was like, yes, this is the guy how he's meant to be.
Yeah.
You know? And then not like he beats up the Justice League because Superman isn't there. Superman comes along and Superman gets taken as well.
Yeah.
Not like, you know. But it's just like, yeah, okay, you've made him like a big massive threat to everyone. So yeah.
And he's so awesome. Marvel kind of tried to rip him off with Thanos, so you know.
Yeah. And then Thanos is so awesome that DC decided to rip off Thanos to make Mongol.
Yeah. It's a weird circle. It's like a snake eating itself. Yeah.
And before we jump, we'll get back to Mongol later on, right?
Cool. Yeah.
But yeah, Darkseid, yeah. But from and we say he's top tier, yeah.
Yeah. I'd say he's top tier.
No, I'd say the new 52 version is top tier, but as a Justice League threat, yeah. I would say Darkseid classic probably at this point because he's top tier. They don't treat him so much top tier sometimes.
Yeah, they kind of they kind of overuse him, and then he kind of doesn't become like a threat. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I do like the version that if you read the when it was like they did the Batman Superman comics, and when Supergirl first appeared in the post Zero Hour continuity, actual Kara Zor-El, and then they decide to go to Crypto. She gets possessed. Darkseid takes her for the Furies to train her, or whatever, right? And then Superman, the DC Trinity is like, nah, we're gonna go over there, right?
Yeah.
And take her back. And then while Superman and Wonder Woman are fighting the troops or wherever they are, Batman just worms his way into Darkseid's. Well, he sneaks his way into Darkseid's throne room, and basically he's like, Darkseid, yo, he punches Darkseid in the face with Kryptonian armor for some reason, right? I think for some reason because like Superman fights this guy. I don't know why you can think you can hurt him.
Yeah, I do. No.
But it's such a Batman move though, right?
Yeah.
All you can do is infuriate him. Not even infuriate him. It's like you threw sand in his face essentially.
Yeah, you're just asking to die.
Yeah. And then he's like, okay, well, Batman, I can just murder you. So anything you want to say before I destroy you. And Darkseid's like, Batman's like, yep. All them Kryptonian, all them apocalyptic nukes that you have here, the equivalent of nukes, right?
Yeah. I've
changed the code word for them, and I've already set them to go. So the countdown's happening right now. So you either let us go, as in us with Kara Zor-El, or your whole planet will explode. Your balls on your court, Darkseid.
Yeah.
Darkseid's like looking at him, all right, trying to stare at his poker face. But this is Bruce Wayne's wearing a mask, right? So I don't know how you're gonna poker face that guy, yeah. And he's Batman. He's got the best poker face available. You know what I mean? That guy hardly has any emotions.
He doesn't care about your planet.
Yeah. And then Darkseid just lets him go and says, okay, well done, human. Because if it was the Kryptonian and the Amazon, they will care about the people on this planet, on your planet as well, right?
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, a human, you don't even care about people on your own planet.
You're like, ooh.
Yeah, so I believe you.
Yeah,
I accept that you would destroy my planet just to attain your goals. Yeah. Go on, get out of here. You take that girl and you get out of here. And then Darkseid, like you say, be petty, right? He comes to Earth to beat up Superman afterwards.
Like, oh, she can go, but not you. And then he's like, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. You know.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah, I have to say, you think about Dick Turpin.
Yep.
In Final Crisis, where Darkseid took over Dick Turpin's body.
Yeah.
And then he got shot by Batman with the reverse bullet in time.
Yeah.
And the black race, then the Flashes came because they were running backwards in time or whatever they were doing to kill with the Black Racer in tow, who's not the Black Flash, but aspect of death, of which the Black Flash is. And they run through Darkseid and kill him. The Dick Turpin Final Crisis is a mess, right? 100%. Okay. It's one of those where I suppose if you take some wacky backy and read it, you'd understand it, yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
or if you're a fan of David Lynch movies, fine, right?
Yeah.
If you're or if you got the brains of Grant Morrison, yeah. Anyways, Batman shoots Darkseid with the God Killer bullet, whatever it is, and instead of dying with honor, like you say, right? Darkseid's like, nah, Batman, gonna shoot you with my Omega beam and send you backwards through time, right? Not kill you, because that's what it would usually do.
Yeah.
But because I know that you're Batman and you'll fight your way through time back to the current time, that's when my final plan will enact, because you basically destroy the timeline doing that, and you'll wreck your own multiverse history or whatever it is, yeah. And in fact, you destroyed your Earth One because of it. Like, oh, okay, just like because one dude crossed you. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
The entire your entire Earth, not your Earth, but your section of the multiverse will pay just because one dude.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is where we cut the episode into 3 parts because we went on forever talking about Superman and his rogues. Also, sorry about the sound quality, it is what it is, but we'll sort it out later. And once again, I'd like to thank everyone at Awesome Arcades for helping us out that time. So follow them, it's all on the screen, all their lovely jubbly social medias and how to connect to them. At the moment, they're doing something really cool about Nintendo indie games that got released or coming to be released, so check that out. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and give us a like on the old YouTube, subscribe, all that lovely jubbly stuff. And until next time, guys, see you in part 2, and thanks for taking a trip with us around the multiverse. Bye.